toy fans, and welcome back to my 4th day of my 13 days of Halloween. Alright guys, and as you can see, we are continuing our look today at the X-Men Monster Armor series of figures by Toy Biz. Now, while this is only the 3rd figure I'm looking at in the series of 5, this will be the last one that I'm looking at as part of this Halloween series. The Monster Armor series of X-Men figures takes place in a universe where Sinister has turned some of the X-Men characters into his latest batch of mutates. Now, of the 3 figures I've been reviewing from this series, Rogue is the only one I didn't actually own as a kid. I could never find her on store shelves. But before we get her out of the box, we're going to take a look at the packaging for this series one more time. Like we've seen with my previous reviews, we've got that classic X-Men logo there at the top. We've got that really cool artwork of the Monster Armor series in the upper right. And then we have a blister bubble packaging that just has a figure inside as well as their Monster Armor pieces. Rogue here actually turns into a character called Leech-Bat once you apply her armor pieces. I've got to say, that name doesn't impress me a whole lot. I think Toy Biz just didn't know what to call this girl and decided to give her just a compound word for a name. Kind of lame. Even if it's a bit generic, something like Dreadwing might have been a lot better, don't you think? The reverse side of this packaging is very similar to what we've seen before. In the upper left, you got the backstory for these line of figures. Definitely check that out because it really does a nice job of setting the mood for these figures. Then to the right, we do have a bio for this particular version of Rogue, and it's quite fitting to see that Mystique is very much present in the origin of this character. Then at the bottom of this packaging, we do have a complete lineup of all the other figures that were available in this wave, as well as a sister wave of Spider-Man figures that was also available at the same time. Alright, Spook fans, let's get this winged she-beast out of the box and see what she's all about. Alright, toy fans, so here we have Rogue out of the packaging, and the first thing that you're going to notice is that the costume for this figure is not that Jim Lee era / X-Men animated series outfit. In fact, this is the Age of Apocalypse Rogue. Now, what's interesting to note about that is that a couple years prior to the Monster Armor line, there was actually a line of X-Men Age of Apocalypse figures that was available from Toy Biz. Missing from that lineup, though, was actually Rogue. So I definitely think including the Age of Apocalypse Rogue as part of the Monster Armor line was kind of a make-good on Toy Biz's part, to not only give us a new Rogue figure in general, but also an effort to help us fill out our collection of Age of Apocalypse X-Men. And this wasn't the only time that Toy Biz would do that. Within a couple years of this Rogue figure releasing, Toy Biz would also release the Age of Apocalypse version of Jean Grey as part of the Battle Blasters figure line. And in sort of an interesting throwback to the Monster Armor line, the Jean Grey of that toy line was actually just a recolored version of the Mystique from the Monster Armor figure line. But now we're getting off on a tangent. I do think the paintwork on this is phenomenal. There's a ton of varied colors, from the black stripes on the outfit to the little purple dots on the knees, to just the general variation of color used on this figure at large. And one thing I have to commend is the head sculpt for this figure. This is actually a really nice looking Rogue figure. There's been some nice makeup applied to the face with the lips. The paint is a nice sort of flesh tone for the figure. The eyes, while definitely animated, are definitely painted very cleanly. We've got the green band around the head. The hair is sculpted nicely and painted nicely. I mean, this is really just a very nice Rogue figure. And looking at this face sculpt and the face paint applications, I have to wonder, where was this designer when the X-Men Legends box set came out in the early 2000s? That Rogue figure was atrocious. Articulation on this Rogue figure is standard for the era, but unfortunately it's not that much to write home about. She doesn't have any sort of articulation in the head or neck. She's got the same shoulder joint that the Cyclops had in this line, that bends out from the body that far and rotates forward and backward, but then she has this very 90s style female joint at the hips, where her leg can swivel outward very impractically. You're not going to get her standing in any dynamic positions with a joint like that. She's really only meant to stand on the flats of her feet, so you basically want to ignore that those hip joints are even there to begin with. Rogue actually comes with more Monster Armor pieces than we saw with Cyclops and Wolverine. In fact, it really seems like Toy Biz maybe broke the budget a bit when designing this figure. She's got a pair of feet, a pair of wings, a mask, and even a torso piece. Attaching the Monster Armor pieces to this Rogue figure is a bit trickier than it was with Cyclops and Wolverine. Now, putting on the feet isn't too bad at all. They just snap right onto the leg of the figure. There's nice indentations in the monster feet. Just plug them right in. It's worth noting, though, that on Rogue's left leg, the Monster Armor piece, while snapping on, doesn't hold it securely and actually comes off pretty easily, so you'll probably be dealing with that as you're assembling your figure or even just posing her around. She's got a mask piece that actually plugs onto the hair of the figure, and you need to use a bit of force to actually get it to plug onto the hair. And once it's on there, it will stay, but it is a bit stiff to get on. Then she's got these wing pieces that are a bit tricky. You got one set that is meant to go on her fingers that are extended. You go ahead and just plug that into that hand there, and that snaps in very nicely. The other hand is a bit more difficult, and it's kind of unclear really how exactly the hand is supposed to fit in there. I kind of put it in by having the fist pointed down and just popping the arm on. That way when the figure's standing up, she's got both wings spread out. Then finally we have the torso connecting piece. This actually just kind of rests on the figure more than snaps on. It's actually probably the easiest piece to fall off. But once you have all of the pieces of the Leech-Bat attached to this Rogue figure, she's probably the most impressive of the Monster Armor figures I've looked at so far. Height-wise, we can see that Monster Armor Rogue does come in at an impressive 6.5 inches tall. For some size comparison, here she is compared to Monster Armor Wolverine and Monster Armor Cyclops from this same wave. And here they are without their monster armor attached. Just for fun, here she is compared to the Series 4 Marvel Legends Gambit figure. Why, hello, chérie. Get lost, Swamp Rat! I'm with Magneto now. Don't bother me, petite. Gambit can share. And finally, here she is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the X-Men Monster Armor Rogue figure released by Toy Biz in 1997. Overall, I think this Rogue figure really has a lot to brag about, from the sculpting and paintwork, probably one of the better and certainly more inventive Rogue figures to come out of Toy Biz in the 90s. If you're looking to pick this figure up for yourself, she seems to be going between $10 and $15 on the secondary market. But at the end of the day, she doesn't have a lot of posability, and all you're really going to be able to make her do is stand in the same static pose. And for that reason, I say only pick her up if you can find a good deal on the figure. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This has been day 4 in my 13 days of Halloween series. Be sure to be keeping up with all the videos in this series to make sure you don't miss out on a chance to win some really cool prizes. And let me know in the comments below, what's your favorite power that you've seen Rogue borrow over the years? It can be from the comics, the movies, or even the animated series. Personally, I enjoyed seeing Rogue borrow Colossus's power on X-Men Evolution. Well, good luck on the contest, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Mwahahaha!